When archaeologists excavate Viking shipyards, farmsteads and coastal settlements, one detail keeps appearing again and again. Timber that should have turned to pulp centuries ago is still sound. Hull planks still hold their shape. Roof beams still shed water. Dock posts pulled from tidal mud still resist decay. This wasn't because the Vikings lived in dry conditions. They lived in some of the wettest, coldest environments on Earth. What kept their wood dry was a waterproofing method so simple and so effective that it blended into everyday life and was eventually forgotten. It wasn't a single product or coating. It was a process. And once you understand it, you realize it is hiding in plain sight, still accessible to anyone building with wood today. The Vikings understood that waterproofing starts inside the wood, not on the surface. Modern waterproofing usually means painting or sealing the outside of wood and hoping water never gets in. Vikings knew that approach fails the moment the surface cracks. Their method focused on changing how wood interacts with water at a structural level. They worked to reduce absorption, slow moisture movement, and allow trapped water to escape before rot could begin. This is why Viking waterproofing didn't peel, blister, or trap moisture. It made the wood itself reluctant to accept water in the first place. Tree selection and cutting season quietly set the stage for waterproof timber. The Viking waterproofing method began in the forest, not the shipyard. Trees were commonly cut in winter when sap levels were low. Less sap meant fewer sugars and less internal moisture. Water has an easier time moving through sugar-rich wood. By starting with drier, leaner timber, Vikings created a foundation that was naturally more water-resistant. After felling, the bark was removed early to prevent insect damage and, to stop moisture from getting trapped. The logs were then stacked in a way that maximized airflow while still keeping the rain off. This early care really reduced the wood's tendency to swell, crack, and absorb water later on. One of the most overlooked Viking waterproofing techniques was, interestingly, smoke curing. Longhouse rafters, wall planks and stored beams were exposed to hearth smoke continuously for years. Smoke deposits hydrophobic compounds into the wood fibres. These compounds actually repel water and inhibit fungi. At the same time, gentle heat drove out moisture without damaging the structure. Over time, the wood became darker, harder, and, less absorbent. This wasn't a deliberate treatment in the modern sense. It was actually a byproduct of daily life that Vikings understood and used intentionally. You can still see this effect in old barns, where wood exposed to decades of smoke resists water far better than newer lumber. Fire was used as a precise waterproofing tool, not a destructive force. Beyond smoke, Vikings used controlled fire directly on timber surfaces. Posts and planks were briefly exposed to flame or hot embers. This process sealed the outer layers, reduced surface porosity, and created a moisture-resistant skin. Light charring converts wood cellulose into carbon-rich material that does not absorb water easily. Vikings used this technique on ship planks, dock timbers, and ground contact posts. Modern builders rediscover this method under different names, but the Viking version was practical and efficient. Applying this today involves well, slowly passing the wood over flame until the surface darkens, but, remains intact. Then you brush and seal it while it's still warm. Viking ships spent their lives in salt water, yet their timbers endured. Salt water does not rot wood on its own. Instead, it displaces fresh water and actually slows microbial growth. Vikings soak ship planks in seawater before construction, allowing salt to penetrate the fibres. This reduced swelling and made the wood less hospitable to decay organisms. Even for land structures near the coast, salt exposure contributed to longevity. Today, soaking wood in a strong brine solution can, at least partially, replicate this effect, especially for posts and beams exposed to heavy moisture. The most recognizable Viking waterproofing material was pine tar. But, tar alone was not the secret. It worked because the wood beneath it had already been transformed. Pine tar penetrated deeply into heat-treated, smoke-cured timber, filling pores and creating a flexible, water-shedding barrier. Unlike modern paints, tar did not trap moisture. It moved with the wood as temperatures changed. Vikings reapplied it periodically, maintaining protection without stripping or sanding. To use this today, warm pine tar and brush it onto warm wood. The heat helps it soak in, producing a finish that repels rain while allowing the wood to breathe. You see, the Viking waterproofing system wasn't written down because, it didn't need to be. It was simply embedded in their daily routines. Cutting trees in winter, storing wood above fires, charring posts, soaking planks and tarring ships, these were just ordinary tasks for them. Over time, industrial building replaced all that process-based knowledge with product-based solutions. The old system faded away, even though its results, honestly, were superior. What survived in the end were the structures themselves, quietly proving that the method truly worked. You don't need a longhouse or a shipyard to use this knowledge. Start by drying wood slowly under cover. Use gentle heat or smoke exposure when possible. Lightly char wood that will face soil or heavy weather. Consider brine or tannin soaking for high moisture environments. And finish with natural tar rather than rigid sealants. Even applying part of this system, dramatically improves durability. A fence post treated this way can outlast several untreated replacements. Vikings waterproofed wood because, failure meant loss of shelter, ships, and even lives. Their method worked because it respected how wood actually behaves. In an age of disposable materials, this knowledge honestly offers a way to build things that endure. If you want more forgotten history, practical survival knowledge, and building wisdom that still works today, make sure you subscribe to Backyard Wisdom and share this video with others who value craftsmanship that lasts.